It's been said that the creative adult is the child who survived. Welcome, I'm CinDi Lowe. I survived. I survived being born unable to swallow. Well, that's what they call it now, but I think it's more like unable to eat. I was born with something called a TE fistula, which is a tracheal esophageal fistula, which means my esophagus did not connect to my stomach at birth. The first time they fed me, I turned blue and I had to be immediately intubated. 1 in 5,000 births are born with this anomaly. And it was only until about 27 years before I was born that the first successful repair surgery was made. There were lots of tubes and worries and tears and prayers, and it would be one more year until I went home. I was lucky though. I had no other major issue besides my esophagus. Just some poor eyesight and bad hearing. Many others have heart and lung complications and other life-threatening medical issues. I do, though, have lifelong complications due to antiquated medical treatment, which caused my legs to stiffen. They gave me intramuscular injections in my thighs to treat the pneumonia that I was going always get from lying in a hospital crib. So eventually, the muscles in both of my legs stiffened, and my right leg had surgery when I was 4 years old. It was repaired. And my left leg wouldn't be repaired for another 10 years until I was 14. So I went all through grammar school without being able to bend my left leg. This, of course, is the reason I walked funny, as they say, and had to do certain things such as stand up for class pictures so my leg didn't stick out. Due to all of this, I survived bullying. That's what they call it now anyway. It was called teasing back in the 80s. In fact, kids were told that someone liked them if they were teased. I'm glad we're changing that narrative. I never told my parents or even my teacher about being teased like this because one of my teachers was a bully too. On my first day of 6th grade, my teacher told me to walk like a normal when we were coming down the stairs in front of the whole class. And I could feel that pit in my stomach where it feels like your heart drops down. And from then on, I decided I'm going to ignore it and not talk about it. Some of the boys were mean. They would put a drawing of a pirate on my desk that said peg leg. And one boy in high school said, "It's a shame you have those scars. You're such a pretty girl." I've tried so hard to pretend I'm normal and to avoid judgments and bullying from childhood. I've carried that with me all my life. I don't want anyone to think that there's something wrong with me. I tried very hard to keep up that perception. I also survived jokes about my height and many scars. Body shaming is what they call that now. Because I was a preemie, had an eating disability, and of Italian-American descent, I was always small in stature. One boy would get on his knees and say, "Let's do midget boxing." Regardless of my left leg not bending, I still ran funny in gym. I rode a bike funny and even swam funny. But being the smallest, I was also the first in the class lineup and the last one to be picked on teams. When kids would ask why I walked funny, I'd make up a story that I fell on glass. Why? I guess it was just easier and cooler than a story about my esophagus. I guess I was a storyteller even back then. I have done a great job over many decades pretending that I am well, hiding my scars, keeping up with others, not complaining much about it, and always being on the go. At about 45 years old, I had what I call a midlife crash. It crashed in on me, and I had to focus on my needs before I could be there for anyone else. My children, my husband, my parents. So what that looked like for me is taking care of my body, getting more in tune with my body instead of ignoring it, listening to its needs, by meditating, self-exploration, and personal growth. I started writing again and being purposeful about doing things that bring me joy. I am now surviving with visible and not so visible challenges. Apparently, aging is what that's called now. And as I'm aging, my body has more pain, more skeletal problems. My hearing and eyesight are declining as well. I'm sure you're thinking, big deal, CinDi, me too. We're all aging. There are so many of us dealing with 24/7 physical and mental challenges that takes a lot of energy. Add to that worrying about what others think, what they know, what they'll assume is even more exhausting. My myriad of specialties say my many conditions are not related to my birth defect. I wish they would explain it then. Why is it that they say my spine is 20 years older than I am? Why does my body feel like it's falling apart? I am in an adult TEF and TOF Facebook group, and our doctors say that the many complications we have as we are aging can't definitively be related to our birth defect. Before us, though, there weren't many who lived long, full lives. At visits, doctors and their staff say things to us like, "You look great for someone with so many medical issues." So that shows me that even in the medical field, a person with limitations should look a certain way. My experience has been that people tend to have a perception of a disabled person or a physically challenged person. Generally speaking, if people can see a disability, then they may label that person as incapable and translate that into there is something wrong with them and assume that they have other limitations. And the opposite is true. If people don't see a disability, they think the person is faking it or a complainer. The truth is we are faking. We are mostly faking being well in front of you. There are so many ways that this creeps up into my everyday life when I stop to think about it. For example, one of my non-visible challenges, hearing loss, is difficult for me to determine how to tell employers or new people I'm meeting that now that I've moved to another state. Will they think of me differently? Part of me cares to ask myself that question, and part of me doesn't give a damn. I'm only human, though. As Eleanor Roosevelt once said, you wouldn't worry so much about what others think if you realized how seldom they do. For those of you who see yourself in my story, my gift to you is permission to release your story by telling it and having it empower you. You are resilient, and you had to become stronger mentally and physically to live with your challenges. I ran away from acknowledging my disabled body for over 50 years. We are survivors, and we have become creative adults by learning to pivot from challenge to challenge. So I am learning, and I embrace my challenges. As they're not going away, I must pivot to keep up with them. The flip side of that is because I was not focusing on my physical challenges, I didn't let my physical challenges stop me from doing what most people do. I just had to learn how to adjust and create my way of doing things, such as running, riding a bike, and swimming. So what I would like to do for those of you that resonate with my story and say, yeah, me too, is I would like for us to make a pact right now to join me in consciously creating joy in each day. That will propel us toward a fulfilled life and a peaceful heart. Embrace yourself. Embrace everything about yourself. The only way to do this is to accept and love yourself. Remember, only you get to choose what you are not. For those of you who haven't experienced this firsthand, I ask you to be patient with everyone you meet and to understand that differently abled people wish for what everyone wants, an inclusive, non-judgmental space, not special treatment. Experiencing challenges is a part of being human and also very important for you to love and accept yourself in the way that's most meaningful for you. Remember, everyone is fighting a battle that you know nothing about. While I don't often set camp up on my pity pot, with the wisdom of 5 decades behind me, I realize I'm guilty of not letting myself feel the emotional pain, and I've been masking it with positivity and any other coping mechanisms. But I'm learning. I'm learning to love all of me. I'm learning to have patience with myself. I'm learning how to ask for what I need and how I need it. I'm learning how to wear my body proudly, not giving a damn what everyone else thinks. I'm learning that my story may help others gain strength. The thing that I've always run from is now giving me the most empowerment in my life, and yet I avoided it all these decades. I'm CinDi Lowe, and I created When the Clock Strikes Midlife.com. Writing is a way I've expressed myself best, and I've written since I was a child, even wrote my own episode of The Odd Couple when I was 9 years old. I realized the common thread throughout my life where I thrive the best is in women's communities. I had participated in or co-created groups of women as a student, as a paralegal, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, and most recently as a writer and a midlife woman. So the year I turned 50, I created a blog, When the Clock Strikes Midlife.com, to share and connect with fellow midlife women. It's so amazing to be among my fellow Gen X women who are the first generation where the pause is actually being celebrated. We are fulfilling our dreams and ambitions like no other generation before us. We are changing the changes for our daughters and every generation thereafter. You can find me at whentheclockstrikesmidlife.com. Check out the blog, my book, and my Facebook journaling group, and what I'm up to next. The book, When the Clock Strikes Midlife, It's Your Time to Shine, is a weekly journal to ignite your soul with positivity and clarity, with 52 of my original quotes and affirmations, some writing prompts, and some poems and coloring pages. I'm so honored to have this opportunity to be a Passionista. Have a great day.